Underway into that 26-year-old gunman. We will not name or show you the face of this shooter, as is the policy of this program, but we are learning more about who he was. An Army basic training dropout who expressed disdain for religion, specifically targeted Christians, and showed a fascination with the country's worst mass murders. We are hearing exactly what happened when the gunman burst through the classroom door. A young woman severely wounded and playing dead is recovering in a hospital room tonight and sent us this picture. Her father joins us with her story and how she says the gunman spared the life of one man so we could deliver a message. Plus stories of heroism, like that of Chris Mintz, a 30-year-old Army vet and father who risked his life to save others. And survivors are painting a searing image of what it was like to see a madman taking innocent lives.
Shaking his head, and then he was pointing like the gun, like he was doing this, and he was like pointing the gun. He didn't really know how to like control his motions. I feel like he was screaming, and I was seeing him walking back and forth in the classroom, and he was shooting the ground, and I think he was shooting people.
We begin tonight with Dan Springer, who is live in Rosberg, Oregon. Dan?
And Megan, two big developments late this afternoon. First, we've been asking the question, why Umpqua Community College? Well, today the sheriff confirmed that the shooter was indeed enrolled at the college, and in fact he was a student in the class where the shooting began yesterday. Also, the sheriff now announced that the names of the 9 victims who were killed in the shooting.
The victims are Lucero Alcarez of Roseburg, 19 years old. Quinn Glenn Cooper of Roseburg, 18 years old.
The sheriff continued. 59-year-old Kim Dietz, 18-year-old Lucas Eibel, 33-year-old Jason Johnson, 67-year-old Lawrence Levine, who was the only teacher killed, 44-year-old Serena Moore, 20-year-old Trevor Ansbach, and 18-year-old Rebecca Carnes. Now, some of the families have begun to release pictures. There will be more to come, and many more stories of the lives cut short. We learned more about the gunman, who witnesses said asked his victims to state their religion. If it was Christian, he shot them in the head. Anywhere else, he shot them in the leg. His internet blog posts and a note left at the scene were filled with hate. He has been around guns most of his life and has had access to many guns. Many guns yesterday. There were 6 at the scene and 7 more at his apartment. All were legal. There were acts of heroism. Chris Mintz tried to block the shooter from coming into the classroom. He was shot 7 times but survived. And how about the first responders who were charging toward the gunman, and the mother who was treating victims at the local hospital, not knowing if her daughter, a freshman at the UCC, would be next through the door on a stretcher?
The unknowing, not knowing if your daughter's going to be brought in, that was the thing that bothered me the most, is I didn't know. And it was probably a good hour before I got to talk to her on the phone to know that she actually was okay.
Classes here at the college will be canceled all of next week, but the college will be open to students who need counseling on Monday. Megan?
Dan Springer, thank you. Well, as we mentioned just moments ago, we are hearing the firsthand account of one young woman in the classroom when the shooting started. Anna Boylan lay on the ground, wounded, and played dead, praying that this gunman would not see the cross she has tattooed on her neck. Tonight, she is recovering in a hospital room after undergoing surgery to have a bullet removed that was lodged near her spine. And we are joined by her father, Stacy Boylan. Stacy, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. How did you first learn about the fact that there was a shooting incident at the college yesterday?
I received a phone call from my brother while I was at work, and it was shocking. It was completely unreal. My wife and I got in the car and found out where she was being life flighted, and we headed down here as soon as possible.
How did you first learn that she was one of the ones who had been shot?
So she had gotten hold of my son, who is also a student there, who was about 600 yards away in another building. And when he received the phone call from her, she screamed that I'd been shot, and that there was so much fear and panic in her voice, and she just said, "I love you," and he told her how much he loved her over and over and over again. And as soon as that call was over, he just tried to get a hold of anyone and everyone he could to get the news out that this had happened. So I knew right away that she had been shot.
When were you first able to speak with her yourself?
Not until the hospital. When I got to the hospital, they were prepping her for surgery. And when I got there, she reached my hand, and I just held her, and she said, "Dad, I didn't know what else to do. I was on the ground, and I was praying, and I kept hearing your voice, and I kept saying, 'Don't move. Just stay down. Don't say a word. Don't move.' And there was so much pain, and she doesn't even to this moment know why he went past her."
He came into the classroom. He shot the professor first, I understand, and then what happened? Does Stacy remember? I mean, does Anna remember when she was shot?
She was shot from the initial, is what she understands. She went to go underneath the desk. He came in with the guns shooting, and she went to go down underneath the desk, and that's when I believe she was hit with the bullet in the back, and then she slid down to the ground. She heard more gunfire. There was another gunshot, and then she heard him the gunman say, "I've been wanting to do that for a long time." And then she said that his laugh was just not human. And she just laid still. There were more gunshots, and then he stopped shooting. He rounded he told everyone to come to the middle of the room, and then he started asking people to stand up. And they would stand up, and he started asking what their religion was. And some brave people who are faithful said that I'm a Christian, and he said, "Good, then you'll meet God in just about a second," and he would shoot them in the head. And then others who didn't answer specifically or mumbled or were too afraid to speak, he would wound. And they would drop to the floor, and he just continued to do this.
And there was a moment when he spoke to another young woman in the classroom about Anna. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my daughter was in the same class with her friend, and at one point he had said, the blonde-haired girl with the black jacket, stand up. And Anna knew that was her. And she didn't move. And he reiterated that again, and she didn't move. And then he looked over to the girl next to her, which was her friend, and said, "Is she dead or alive?" And her friend said, I don't know. And he didn't continue to shoot my daughter. And she's here today because of those moments.
You have a cross tattooed on yourself. She has one, and I gather your son has one as well. She was worried he would see it, right?
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, she knew because he was killing anyone who said they were Christian outright. And if he had seen that cross on her neck, and it's visible if her hair would have been out of the way, that would have given her away, and she would probably be dead.
What was the piece of advice you gave her in the hospital room about what she should not take away from this, what she should not do in the wake of this?
I told her that this kind of terror and fear, do not let it get inside of her, that if she allows this to change her life for the worse, that he will win because of that. And so she continues to be strong. There's been an outpouring of support, an incredible outpouring of support from the local people and friends and family and just even people that I didn't even know coming out of the woodworks and coming around from this activity. And,
is she going to be okay, Stacy?
She has recovered well from the surgery. Amazingly, it couldn't have gone better. And they were able to extract the bullet without further injury. And I mean, my daughter is double tough, and she's stubborn, and she's not going to let this go down. And I just want to thank everybody who has been supportive, given her love, By the grace of God, I'm able to have this conversation with you and tell you that, my daughter lives. And yet I feel horrible and so bad for the families who lost loved ones.
Thank you so much for telling us her story, and all our best wishes to her and to your family as you go through this terrible time. Thank you for being here, Stacey.
Thank you, Megan.
Unbelievable. Well, for the second time in as many days, President Obama demanded new laws in the wake of this shooting and went from attacking the NRA to attacking Republicans. Sheriff David Clark and Jeremy Byrd, a former staffer for the Obama campaign, take up this debate right after the break. Plus, later, as Russia